Bickley and Marana mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
It has become the most important question on the internet. So, who are you taking, the 100 humans or the gorilla? Or more locally, who are you taking, the 100 Diamondbacks or the 1 New York Met? Doesn't seem so absurd now after the loss last night, the worst loss of the season, a game in which Eduardo Rodriguez gave up 8 runs in the first 4 innings, a night when the Diamondbacks were never in the game, blown away from start to finish, which is usually the case whenever they play the Mets in Citi Field. By the way, it's the first time Erod has allowed 8 or more runs in 9 years. It's the first hammer and nail loss of the season, and I'm starting to get a little worried about the vibe of this team. After all, the Diamondbacks seem to be bringing out the magic in everyone else. Gino Suarez, 4 home runs in a game, and they still lose. 10-run rally in the 8th inning of Wrigley, and they still lose. And last night, the Mets put together one of the best half innings of defense in history, flexing on us, the team that was supposed to be the Kings of Leather. Now, after the game, Torey Lovullo said the Diamondbacks should be inspired by the Mets' level of defense, but personally, I think it's time for the manager to flip a table or two because all of this coddling is not working, and this idea of slow rolling your way into baseball season is getting very old very fast. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I'm kind of leaning towards you, Bick. Great time to flip a table, especially when you do it in somebody else's ballpark, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's funny. That's pretty good. All right, there's no real damage to your facility when that happens.
Yeah, we saw, you mentioned it, too, maybe the best half inning of defense we've seen in quite some time. I mean, it was the polar opposite of what we saw in the 5th inning of Game 5 of the World Series last year.
That's right.
From the Yankees, who were put forth the worst defensive half inning I've ever seen.
When Aaron Judge couldn't catch a fly ball.
But it was remarkable. And those kind of plays are contagious. And the Diamondbacks don't typically make those plays right now, or at least they're not. And we've seen them be capable of that. Their defense has been incredibly disappointing so far this year.
Very much so. And again, this idea, how many times have we heard Torey Lovullo talk about not going from 0 to 60, about you're not going to blow guys out. I can't do that. I've got to worry about their health. Listen, in a perfect world, I agree with Torey Lovullo, but this isn't a perfect world, and this hasn't been a perfect start to the season. And by contrast, Corbin Carroll, the stories that have come out now, and remember when he was asked, did you work out on Christmas Eve? And his answer was, if it was a Monday through a Saturday, then yes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So there's nothing slow rolling about Corbin Carroll, and he's one of the best players in baseball. So with all due respect to Torey Lovullo, when I look at this baseball team, I'm going to side with the hit the ground running. I'm not siding with we just need to slow these. We need to keep everyone healthy. We just need. No.
You can't be cautious and wait for games later in the season that might not be meaningful.
Not when I'm seeing Corbin Carroll do exactly the opposite of what Torey Lovullo is saying and having incredible success at it.
Yeah, he's arguably been the best player in baseball so far this year.
So this is. And maybe it's just my blood pressure spiking watching this team yesterday, but it was a non-competitive loss.
Yeah.
After the 3rd inning, the Diamondbacks had a 3% chance of winning that game. We've not had games like that this year.
No, you're right. It was start to finish domination. But also to your point about easing into things too. I mean, a lot of that lines up with schedule. And the schedule, they're in the tough part of their schedule right now. Their next 5 series are all monsters. And, that's where it didn't jive with maybe easing guys in because they didn't take advantage of softer spots on their schedule. The most recent homestand is a perfect example. Tampa Bay, they're kind of a pest of a team. You should beat them 2 out of 3. The Atlanta Braves were playing better baseball, but you got to win that series.
Yes, you do. And now you're in the thick of it, and you're playing a team that's very, very hot. And last night, the difference in the team showed. And again, if you haven't seen the inning of defense the Mets put on the field, top of the 4th inning, it was one incredible play after another. right? So first up, Randall Grichuk hits a shot off the third baseman's glove. It goes right to Francisco Lindor, who throws in one motion to first base, and he gets Grichuk out by about 5 steps. So in 1 minute, it looked like, okay, that's going into left field, and then he's out like a half a second later.
Yeah.
Then the next batter, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., gaps one, and the Mets center fielder, what's his name again?
Tyrone Taylor.
Tyrone Taylor. Incredible diving catch going face first into the warning track, which is not fun surface to slide on. Makes an incredible grab. And then the next hitter, Gino Suarez, 118-mile-per-hour exit velocity, one hopper, Francisco Lindor. It was like nothing. It was like he was playing softball.
Yeah.
And he just picked it, threw it, and it was like, that's elite-level defense.
And it's not just the defense that has plagued the Diamondbacks. I mean, certainly yesterday the biggest storyline was starting pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Eduardo Rodriguez was just not good. Didn't give his team a chance to win the game, which, as you pointed out, has been rare. So that gets washed over. Offensively, and maybe Rodriguez's performance puts a Band-Aid on on the offensive struggles that some players are having. But Sammy asked it earlier. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., his last 6, I mean, he hasn't been really productive all year, but his last 6 games, he's 3 for 22. He's putting the ball in play. He's only struck out once in that time span. That's a 136 average. And if he's not hitting, with the lack of offense and pop you're going to get from your center field position, which is either going to be Thomas McCarthy or now Barosa's in the mix, not a whole lot of offensive production coming from those guys either. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. really needs to pick it up at the plate.
Totally agree with that. The one bright spot out of last night was Ryan Nelson came in and gave the team a handful of really, really good innings. I hope we don't get to the point in time where we need to start thinking, do they need to sub out one member of the starting rotation? But they're doing their best to keep Ryan Nelson stretched out enough to the point where if there's an injury that he's going to be able to do it. It was just good to see him be that effective last night.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I had to look pretty hard for a bright spot last night. That would probably be it because he threw almost the exact same number of pitches that Rodriguez threw over 4 innings, scoreless innings. But how much of that was Mets in coasting mode? I mean, they were up 8-0. So
a good point.
I mean, I think there's a little psychology
involved. That's a very good point.
Now, that doesn't mean it wasn't a valuable situation for Ryan Nelson to get that success over 4 innings. And certainly it was valuable for the Diamondbacks, who were in the efforts, as you mentioned, to keep Ryan Nelson stretched out in case something happens. So they checked a couple boxes there, but I think the Mets were pretty satisfied by the time Ryan Nelson got into the game.
I think you're right. The other bit of good news, and Sammy has used this in the trending, in what's trending, is that A.J. Puck is not going to have surgery, so he will be back at some point this season. When that is up for grabs. So, yeah, I mean, I guess there's that.
That is good news. Kevin Ginkel didn't get to use him last night, but having him back is a big piece for that bullpen too.
And meanwhile, Justin Martinez claims his arm is fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to his fastball, but he claims he's okay. So we'll see. Weird season so far.
You could say that again.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.